Good afternoon and welcome to this month's show. I'm Luke McCormack. During today's show, we will discuss best practices with IT modernization programs and strategies in the federal government. With me on today's show are Nancy Seeger, Chief Information Officer, Internal Revenue Service; Jamie Holcomb, Chief Information Officer, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office; Soldenise Sejour, Chief Information Officer, Office of Intelligence Analysis at DHS; Nicholas Spees, Chief Federal Technologist at Snowflake; Nick Saki, Principal Technology Strategist, Pure Storage; and John Harris, Executive Director at Federal Civilian Verizon. IT modernization, we always like to say, when we modernize, we fulfill two important points. Focus on the delivery to the community, to the citizen, to the soldier, to the Navy, your operator. And of course, we also can secure that environment when we modernize. Nancy, you've been at it for a while over there. I know you've had a long, extensive career at the IRS, now as the Chief Information Officer, formerly for a year and longer than that, as I understand. A lot of activity going on during the pandemic while you're modernizing, et cetera. Give us a state of the state.
Hey, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here. I hope that by the end of this program, you get a sense that we've made significant progress at the Internal Revenue Service. I think all of us could say that in government, IT has been the difference between keeping an agency going to provide mission essential services or falling behind. I'm so proud of what our team at the IRS has accomplished, and I really enjoy any chance to share. You know, the undeniable truth about today's world is that we're more virtual, more connected, and more dependent on technology than we've ever been before. We're leading what you might call a digital journey across the Internal Revenue Service. For context, let me start by saying that customer service is such an important part of the Internal Revenue Service mission. People need to be able to reach us, and they need to know that we're operating in a secure environment, knowing that the IRS is a prime target for fraud and cyber criminals. Over the last few years, we've had significantly transformed our customer experience. The story I want to share today is about our contact centers. The Internal Revenue Service gets about 50 million calls on our toll-free lines every year, 50 million. In addition to the story I want to talk about on our telephone lines, I just want to share a few sound bites on what we've accomplished in that space. We've instilled customer callback for over 70% of our toll-free lines. We've created a robust online account experience where you can practically service all of your needs with the Internal Revenue Service online. We reacted quickly to mandates that strengthened the U.S. economy during the most critical time of the pandemic. And we developed a strategy for using voice and chat bots to help people with basic and personalized information by providing our collection services through bots. The idea being that people who call the IRS wanting to give us money or resolve their tax bill should be able to get that service when they want it in real time. We focused on the right technology. We built the right foundation to grow with our future. Now, when people call the Internal Revenue Service, they don't necessarily have to wait for a human agent. And more importantly, we also made that automation available in both English and Spanish. In less than 2 years, we designed, procured, and built the infrastructure and deployed bots. Ultimately, the initial set of bots was successfully put in place for this filing season. In addition, when call volume skyrocketed last year, we also incorporated automated voice bot services for people calling about their economic impact payment, getting money into the economy when our people needed it the most. In just under 4 months, the voice bot we deployed on the economic impact payment telephone line interacted with about 6 million callers, and 3 out of 10 of those were resolved without the need to escalate for a human. You know, I could go on and on. I'll pause and turn it back to you, Luke, let somebody else jump in. But as you can tell, I'm very, very proud of the progress we've made in the customer experience space.
And you should be just brilliant capability there, staggering results and statistics that you're sharing with us. So thank you very much for that. Jamie, how about at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office? You all are on a journey over there. I know you're in a fail fast, sort of agile sort of mode. Tell us what's happening at U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
Well, of course, coming out of the pandemic has been key for all of us. We want to get back to a sort of normal, but I do think culturally there is no normal. And in fact, what we're doing is we're setting the stage for the newness. We're not going to go back to the way it was, but we can't keep staying at home. And so because of that, this hybrid approach that we're taking to the newly designed functions within the intellectual property community, I mean, it is huge. You have to do the outreach. Just as Nancy was talking about, our customer base is the intellectual property community. We are fee funded. We don't take taxes. And so because of that, we have to open up our design criteria to that new world of intellectual property and how they are going to interface online. And it's really great. 1996, we digitized all that paper. However, in doing that, the digitalization of that workflow really was not optimized for the online experience. Instead, it was just modeled after a paper-based manual system. So in order to optimize, we really have to redo that workflow. And that's what we're in the middle of. We're trying to figure out how to make it more efficient for the customer, not for us. So often our websites and the things we throw up online represent the bureaucratic organizations that we've put together. At the PTO, what we're trying to do is break down those bureaucratic barriers and actually create it from the online experience, from that user community, from the fee payer. Because I have a fiduciary to ensure that that fee payer is getting the biggest bang for the buck. And so because of that, we're measuring our productivity in terms of pendency, the time it takes between submission and award or rejection, and also quality. How do you measure quality in patents? Well, it's pretty easy. If it's not rejected, then you have pretty good quality. The fact of the matter, there's a lot of things that go into court. We're actually a law and engineering based organization. We do everything through the scientific method. And so we can replicate that process, that thought, those algorithms through artificial intelligence and using robotic process automation to our advantage. So yes, fail fast, agile, DevSecOps, it's all included, but it all starts with that fee pair and reaching out and making sure that experience for those 6 personas that we've created is optimized for the online world.
Absolutely.
I'll turn it back to you.
Right. That just upping that user experience so important, particularly in this very sophisticated scientific environment that you're operating in. So Denise, I'd like you to start with, tell us what INA is, right? Some may know, some may not. Is that part of the IC? What is INA? And then tell us what you're up to up there. I know you've been out there just about a year as a Chief Information Officer. Congratulations on that appointment, by the way.
Thank you very much, Luke. Hello, it's good to see you. I'm very honored to be a part of this conversation this morning, and hello to all of the panel members this morning. So a couple of things. The Office of Intelligence and Analysis within the Department of Homeland Security is and represents the department as an IC or intelligence community element. So we are a member of the intelligence community. And we are the only IC or intelligence community element that is statutorily charged with sharing intelligence data with our state, local, tribal, territorial, and private sector partners. Within the department, we lead and oversee the department's intelligence enterprise, making sure that we share and enable the intelligence mission for the department. And as well, we bridge the gap between the department and the intelligence community. So that's what the Office of Intelligence and Analysis is positioned to do to support our Homeland Security mission. A couple of things that we've been working on in terms of IT modernization, it really encompasses a whole lot within the IT space. But a specific area that we've been focusing on also to the point that Jamie's making and Nancy's making is that customer experience. So really focusing on modernizing our intelligence systems so that we can enhance the user experience and enhance our ability to share that intelligence data with all of our customers. A couple of exciting projects that we've been working on this past year. We are the technical service provider for the National Vetting Center that is led out of CBP. So we've been able to modernize the primary system that they use for their screening and vetting. We've also worked to modernize our key system, our primary system that our Intel analysts use to share finished intelligence products. And this is on the classified side. And we've also been, we operationalized this past year what we call our top secret data hub, basically a data warehouse that stores gold copies of DHS data that enables several major programs that we support throughout the department, but also enables intelligence sharing under the purview of information sharing agreements with our partners throughout the intelligence community as well. And finally, a most recent project that we've been working on that we are very excited about is the DHS Intelligence mobile app for INA. So I'll pause there. Really excited about all of the fun things that we're doing, IT modernization and becoming more agile. So really excited on all the things that the team is doing. My team has been really successful considering all the challenges that have been brought on with the pandemic. Over to you, Luke.
Thank you very much. A lot of moving parts. I know it's very sophisticated. You know, you're dealing with the IC on sort of the high side, if you will, all the way down to the state and locals. Tricky business trying to keep all that separated and make sure that information gets out to a wide swath of community members. Nicholas, there's a whole bunch of data being collected, needs to be analyzed. I know that Snowflake is right in the middle of helping these agencies and bureaus really make the best use of that data. Tell us about what's happening.
Yeah, thanks, Luke, and good afternoon to everybody. You know, what I take away from hearing the last couple of folks sort of share their thoughts on where their agencies are, the thing that sticks in my mind most is you asked about IT modernization, and what you actually got were outcomes. So everybody who's consuming those services, consuming that IT infrastructure, that's really what folks are focused on. And that's exactly what we want to hear, right? We want people to be focused on the outcomes and not necessarily the tools that get us there. Although the tools are also equally important. I think over the last 4 or 5 minutes, we've talked about a data hub. We've talked about data collaboration across agencies. We've talked about sharing information, sharing data. These challenges are never going to go away. We've seen it in a huge uptick ever since the pandemic kicked off, where agencies had to collaborate. We had to collaborate, not just government agency to government agency, but also the government to private industry, trying to grab and get vaccines shipped out to where they had to be, trying to get medical resources where they needed to be. All of this was based on data collaboration and sharing across agencies. And it's wonderful to hear in context with government speakers that this is at the top of their mind and that the outcomes are being focused on. I think for Snowflake, we're 100% inside of that mix. We're working with government agencies to help them collaborate and share with data. That's the core technology of Snowflake, is to focus on that these days with the data cloud. So I'm always excited to hear government speakers talking about outcomes and talking about data collaboration, mostly because that's the one thing I'm best suited for, Luke.
And a big shift over the last few years, and it was a very good catch there, Nick. We're collecting all this information. We have to store it properly. We need to do it efficiently. We need to be able to retrieve it. It needs to be secure. Tell us how Pure Storage is fitting into this.
Well, thanks, Luke. Obviously, data is, the reason why we exist, and data service infrastructure providing scale, simplicity, and, as you mentioned, security, as well as sustainability. So the challenge that we're seeing a lot of our customers deal with is, of course, data continues to grow, data holdings continue to grow at an extraordinarily accelerated rate. And we are working diligently to address the need to provide obviously higher capacity storage capability, but also the speed with which that data can be leveraged. So the thought trap that we get into is that it's storage, but in truth, it's data service. So how readily can we leverage the customer's ability to make the most out of the data that they've got, to gain the insights and understanding, to deliver the outcomes that their agencies hope to achieve. And to that end, we've been creating systems that have new and modernized protocols, larger capacity systems, higher performance memory. And then the really essential part is, how do you move your data? How do you leverage it? How do you get it where you want it in the infrastructure environment that you desire, so that cross-platform connectivity, or I should say cross-infrastructure connectivity between on-premises data service infrastructure and cloud-based capability has also been at the core of what we've been implementing in order to facilitate the capacity for digital transformation for our customers. So we're trying to create a boundaryless infrastructure wherein you get to focus primarily on the application deployment and the customer or user experience, without really having to pay very much regard to, is this on premises? Is this in the cloud? Which cloud service provider is it in? What region is it operating in? How do we move the data seamlessly so that agencies can focus on their mission and their activities and not plumbing and maintenance?
Absolutely. Needs to be accessible, needs to be affordable, needs to be secure. John, we also need to get to it, and we need to be able to transport it, et cetera. And Verizon's right smack in the middle of that, a brilliant job during the pandemic and going forward. Tell us about how you're fitting into this ecosystem and enabling all these rich capabilities to happen.
Yeah, thanks, Luke, and good afternoon. I appreciate being part of the panel, and really, really great comments from everybody so far. I love, Nancy, what you said is that technology has been the thing that has helped us get through, the last couple of years in this pandemic. We talk about modernization, and I think it's important we kind of reframe the modernization discussion. Excuse me, modernization is not necessarily an end journey. It is the journey itself. We will be on the modernization path for a number of years to come. It's this continuous effort to modernize and continue to evolve the technologies that are helping us to meet the challenges of today. So to your point, Luke, and to the point of a number of the panelists are making already, we need access to information, and we need access to information in new places and in new ways. So a couple of things I think that Verizon has been working diligently on that we're very proud of is, number one, everybody is in the middle of a migration to a new contract vehicle. So the EIS vehicle is certainly, in flux. We're moving as many folks as we can to that contract as quickly as we can, and it will provide an incredible, suite of services to really help push the modernization efforts forward, to drive secure connections, to drive more access to information, to drive new and evolving technologies, I think, to help many, many agencies really meet the mission and help to support some significant outcomes. I think the other thing that I would be remiss if I didn't touch on is 5G. As we think more and more about a mobile world and being in a hybrid environment, to Jamie's point earlier, we need access to higher bandwidth solutions. We need access to more IoT-driven solutions, more smart connectivity, so that we can share data, we can move information to places where we can more easily access it, and we can make better decisions. So not just the network itself, but also increasing application performance, increasing the speed with which we can get to that data, and how securely it is managed at the edge is really important, and something we put a lot of effort into with machine edge compute. And all of this is wrapped around customer experience. One of the things that I think is the most important goal for us in 2022 and beyond is, how are we impacting end user experience for our agencies and for the folks on this call? And then also, how are we impacting citizen experience and making that engagement and that interaction easier? And we're excited for that challenge and ready to jump in.
Right. A lot of plumbing behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, it's about what is that customer experience. So glad that you've been able to focus on that. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network.